The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and a good afternoon this 4th of July on a Wednesday. This doesn't seem right. 4th of July should be on a weekend, or at least
no, we're missing out on another 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Not fair.
Or unless we take the other 2 days off and just make it a 5-day weekend.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah?
That sounds good idea.
I'm not promoting that my employees. That's a notice to my employees. Anyway, welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, where we're talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs of the Maui community. We're sponsored by Pacific Source, Maui's best source for building materials, with a cabinet and appliance showroom open to the public in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Interim Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and President of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. And I'm happy to say that on this beautiful day, we have 4 co-hosts.
Oh, yeah, 4 co-hosts.
Hello.
5 of us.
5 of us, yes. And that's representative of something. What do we all have in common?
We're all executive directors of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association.
Members of it, and we're part of the board of directors.
Oh, yes, we're all board members.
Yes. Okay. And that voice that you're hearing that I'm trying to prompt into the correct answers is Sherry Dodson, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity Maui. We also have with us Max Tornai, who's Executive Director of Mediation Services Maui.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Happy 4th of July.
Hey, Max, how are you? We have Kaimana Brummel, Executive Director from the Hawaii Canoe Club, but you also have an organization name.
We are also Hawaiian Kamali'i Incorporated.
Hawaiian Kamali'i.
Hawaiian.
Yep. Okay. Would anybody know that?
If you read the county budget, you would know that.
That's your funding source
Exactly.
for part of it. Okay, great. And we have Joylyn Paman, and she is the Executive Director of
Maui Nui Botanical Gardens.
There you go. And probably the newest to the organization.
You've only been executive director for
at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, I've been there for the last year and a half. So yeah, I'm the newest employee.
Newest employee and the newest member of you and Kaimana are both our new board members, because for those of you who've been following this show, you know that Keith Walter retired from nonprofit work, and he was the spokesperson for us and the host of this show for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
and a board member.
And then we also had Nicole
McMullen.
who has resigned to move back to the mainland. So
They're dropping like flies around here.
No.
No.
That's it. It stops.
That turnover.
there.
We got new blood now
Yes.
with Kaimana and myself.
The young
Starting
generation.
on.
We're so glad we have the younger generation.
Yes.
Well,
so,
Max, you're kind of younger, too.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think she's picking on you.
I'm 64 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. Good for you. You really do look good.
That's a lot of
That's-
Botox over there.
That's tremendous.
He's not really 64.
He's coming out with a book. How I do it. How I do it.
Yeah. It's called lying.
He lies about his age
Yeah.
the wrong way, the other way. Okay, so to start today off, we're going to ask a question of each of you. Are you ready?
Sure.
I don't care who goes first. Just say your name. Well, you don't have to say your name if you don't want anybody to know who you are as you tell the story. But is there a special 4th of July celebration in your life that you remember forever?
Who's starting?
Anybody?
Okay. I'll start.
Go, Sherry.
Since I've been thinking about it for the last 3 minutes nonstop. I actually remember, and you reminded me, Joylyn, is growing up, and one of the reasons why I got into the nonprofit arena eventually was my mom was very active in the community, and she used to help produce the big fireworks show it used to be produced by Hospice
Right.
at War Memorial. And so on 4th of July, we were always working, but it was always for a good cause, and definitely instilled in me, that sense of community and giving back, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrific show. I could watch it from my house up
Yeah.
country.
And it was every year,
Yeah.
for a long time. It was a benefit to hospital. I don't think they produced. I think there was a
One of the
group of women.
churches and then one of the churches took it over, didn't they, or something?
Eventually, yeah. It was
Yeah.
my mom and Gretchen Cook and a bunch of the Maui contractors, Women's Auxiliary, who put it on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, yeah, that was quite the show.
Yeah, I would say that when I was growing up here on Maui, I recall lying down on the lawn and just looking up and just being fascinated by all the wonderful colors and sparkles of fireworks. And then later in my life, being
Hello?
able to
Do we have
Hello?
a caller?
Is someone? Do we have a caller? Someone's calling in to tell us about their.
But later in my life, now that I live up country near you, Susie, up in Kula, I enjoy watching fireworks throughout the island just from my home at home.
Instead of on
from
the
my
grass.
lanai at home, looking down country and watching the fireworks.
We do it the lazy way, yeah. I know I invited somebody to come over and watch the fireworks, and they said, no, not up there. I want to be down there where the smell and the food is and so forth.
And the
for that
crowd and
picnic.
the.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll continue on with the theme of the Central Maui fireworks show. My family moved from Kahului to Wailuku, and we moved on the 4th of July weekend so we could have a lot of our friends help us move. And it was my parents. I was in middle school, and my parents it was their first house that they had ever bought, so they were so proud of it. And we hadn't really moved in yet, so we were kind of sleeping on the ground still, didn't quite have all the beds. So I remember we wanted to watch the fireworks, and so my dad said, let's take the mattress up on the roof.
Oh my
Because we
goodness.
could do whatever we wanted now that we owned the house and we didn't rent. So I remember laying on our mattress on the roof watching the fireworks show from, we lived in like the Sand Hill area, so it was really close and you could feel it and being up on the roof. And I remember my parents being proud that, because it was their house, that we could do those types of things and not worry what the landlord
They're
would
living
say.
the American dream.
Exactly.
Go home ownership.
Yes, that was really
Yes.
cool. And then the
Yeah.
other one was, now that I live up country, last year, my mother-in-law was here, and we went to the upcountry rodeo, and I just had my son, and she was just so excited to be there with my son and myself for the parade, and just kind of seeing it from kind of a parent's perspective and making memories and dressing him up in obnoxious little costumes. Because it was kind of the first holiday I could do that, and it was okay. And so as a parent, I guess that'd be my first and my most fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective because we're all talking about our memories as a child. So to see it as a parent, that's different because my memory was going to be same thing. Back when I was probably in 5th grade, just loving to go see the fireworks, the bang of, the vibration of the big cannonball blasts. And
You're a boy. You're a little boy for that stuff. Boom! Yay!
Yeah, so I grew up in Massachusetts, and it was a good 2 or 3 hours to the beach, and my friends' parents took us to the beach for fireworks. They had a big fireworks up in New Hampshire on the beach, and it was really fun. It's probably not going to be as funny in retrospect with me telling it, but it was so funny for us at the time. So my friend's mom kept saying, we were looking at the fireworks happening, and she's like, oh, this is so nice that we can all say ooh, ah together. And so we started making fun of that, saying
We do the same thing.
ooh, ah together. And we did that the whole ride home. Probably not as funny from the parents' point of view, but it was hilarious for us.
That sounds like the car commercial where the kids in the car start singing.
Oh, that bebop, bebop thing.
Whatever
yeah.
that thing is, yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You entertain yourself however you can in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my most radio appropriate, memorable memory.
Oh, now we know a little bit more about Max.
What about you, Susie?
Oh yeah, let's turn the tables.
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite is, I was living before I moved here. I lived in Minnesota, North Dakota area.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's a good place to be from, and so Minnesota always had this thing where if summer falls on a Sunday, we have a picnic. Hello?
If summer falls on a Sunday?
Yeah.
If the first day of summer?
No,
No, just
summer.
if summer
Yeah.
happens on a Sunday.
In other words, if it's more than 50 degrees, it's summer. So
Oh.
that one day,
Okay. Okay. Got it.
okay, you have to kind of be
You,
there.
you
get
need
that
to,
one.
yeah, we're not from Minnesota.
Yeah, okay.
We're like,
Definitely.
summer is
Yeah.
all summer here.
but
Summer's
You
all
have-
year here.
You have a picnic
Yeah.
every Sunday?
no, if it's on a Sunday. But the 4th of July was always a big thing because 4th of July, you could almost count on it being warm. Not necessarily hot, but warm. And Lake Country in Minnesota was a big thing because people made their reservations for any week in June and July because by the time you hit the 10th of August, it starts getting cold again. And if you were lucky, you got a good week at the lake. If you didn't have good luck, you'd have rain and cold.
Why do you have
and-
to make a reservation for the lake?
to stay at the lake.
Oh,
at the
to
different
stay.
cabins around the lake. Yeah,
We don't
This
make
is serious
reservations
stuff.
for water here.
No, I know. That's the thing. And so it was just the 4th of July was a pretty good one, especially if it was on a weekend because everybody just leaves. Like I lived in Fargo, and this was over in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. It's like 45 minutes away. So everybody just leaves town, right after work the day before, heads out there, and then stays for the 3 or 4 day weekend, whatever they can turn it into, and hope at least one of those days is a good one. And
Are we lucky we live Hawaii where
I know
every 4th of July is
I know.
beautiful.
It's people say, "Don't you ever get tired of such beautiful weather?" And I said, "You know what?
No.
Coming from up there, no. So
What kind of question is that?
yeah. Hello.
The same kind of question when you go, to the mainland for a vacation. They go, if I lived in Hawaii, I wouldn't vacation anywhere but there. I'm like, wouldn't be a vacation then.
Right.
You got to go somewhere.
That's true. Everybody's got to go somewhere. Okay, so now as adults, do you have a routine or some special way that you celebrate 4th of July, either with your family, friends, or
Well, I
whatever?
love to cook. We barbecue every 4th of July. We barbecue as many times during the summer as we can. We have the whole. We've got a very close neighborhood, so all the neighborhood come over, and I'm fortunate enough to have a pool in my backyard, so that means the kids all come, and it's just a day of food and fun and family
And you watch the fireworks
from my house.
from your house, the
Yes.
Wailea ones.
The Grand Wailea?
No, the neighborhood fireworks.
Oh, those. Oh, the ones that we're watching, Joylyn. Yeah.
Those
okay.
illegal ones that
I see.
go off in our neighborhood,
I
and
see.
I won't tell you where I live so they don't get in trouble because I really like watching them.
We do too, actually.
I have a great show from my back of my
That's
house
cool.
and in the front of my house. They just
That's cool. Get
Yeah,
tired of
that's
one
what I
side,
like
go the
about
other.
Hawaii. They do those local
Yeah.
little fireworks.
Yeah, little fireworks. That's
And that's,
anybody else?
Usually it's just a family day for my family, and depending on what day of the week the holiday falls on. Unfortunately, today it's Wednesday. Who has holidays on Wednesdays? So might as well make it an entire rest of the week of holidays too, right? And take off Thursday and Friday. But
Or
you know,
Monday and
if it's
Tuesday.
if it's on a Monday or so, then we usually go out to Hana, where my husband's family is from, and we grew up. So just making a nice long weekend of it and spending it with family is always a great thing.
Cool.
yeah. Do they do parades here? I mean,
Well,
I
you've
think
got the
Makawao
rodeo
parade.
parade,
The rodeo parade.
Yeah.
but it's going to be on the 7th, Saturday the 7th this
Well,
year.
it's better that it's on a weekend, yeah.
Yeah,
I bet you anything
With the
this
rodeo.
this weekend's parade will be filled with politicians.
of course. It's an election
Yes,
year.
it's election year. Makes the parade a little bit longer.
yeah.
Just
more-
a little bit longer.
But a few more goodies get handed out.
I remember they used to have a huge parade down in Kihei a long time ago. And we used to say it was, we got the great parade, and we lived right on Kihei Road, so we'd pull our cars out and sit there, and the parade come and go, and it'd be like 3 minutes long. Oh, it was so great! And our friends from the main like, really? That was your parade? Yeah. Did you see the one horse? And look, the fire truck.
I keep waiting for bands in the parade.
Right.
There's got to be music, and so once in a while you'll have the square dancing group or the line dancing group on a flatbed, and they'll have some music, or you'll have a
The Margaret
gymnastics
parade
group.
has sometimes they have some people
No.
on the back of trucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And-
Well,
and
you mean not
so there may be
marching bands.
two different musical floats or something, but it's got to get a band in there. And everybody says, "Well, it's summertime. You're not going to get a band."
And it's,
you know?
a parade is anything you want it to be.
That's true. That's
We
true.
have parades in our neighborhood all the time. We just walk down the street. All the kids and the dogs. It does look like
Right.
a big parade.
That's right. You got one?
I guess with my young family, we're trying to make our own traditions, and so we'll probably continue to keep going to the upcountry rodeo and enjoying. I really like that part of Hawaii and the Paniolo culture, and my husband really likes the horses, and my son really loves animals now, so I'm sure we'll just continue doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Before we get to Max, let's take a break.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And welcome back to Maui Nonprofit Notes. This is a special July 4th edition.
Happy 4th of July.
Okay.
I'm trying to be festive.
I
As
got you.
festive as it gets.
It's only noon. It hasn't quite hit you yet. Okay. You've got a few more hours to go. Have you got something to share with us?
Oh, let's
Max.
see. I think I usually do the same thing as Sherry. Trying to do the barbecue. It's different being a immigrant to Maui, I guess, because all my family being a Howley guy from the mainland, but all my family's spread out all over the world, and it's a little bit different for me too, because my family, both my parents are actually immigrants from Eastern Europe, so our 4th of July celebration traditions are a little bit different, but I try to hit my friend's barbecue. And that's basically.
I think that's for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The barbecue, the eating, the drinking, in
the pool.
moderation, the pool,
Right.
Beach pool.
beach pool, wherever it is, water attracts everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on a hot July 4th. day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And like you were talking earlier, I love it when it's close to the rodeo parade, because my puppy dog and I go to the rodeo parade, and he sits there in his chair and I sit there in my chair. And everybody comes by and gives us a hug and pats him on the head, and he just
See, my dogs would be
he just loves it.
petrified of those big dogs, meaning the horses.
The horses, yeah.
My dogs are city dogs.
Oh,
They'd see those
Scooter.
and they would go ballistic.
Scooter just loves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine Isabel? She would
No.
freak out.
Yeah, I can.
She knows Isabel.
She's half the size of the horse, but
I know.
that's-
She's 50
okay.
pounds and she's scared to death.
Sometimes the biggest dogs are the most skittish.
Oh, yeah. And there's no reason for her to be. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So basically, what I do, I start out like this morning. The thing I did is I turned on the sound system full blast and playing John Philip Sousa music.
Oh yeah.
Kind of all the different marches and the stuff, and I think the CD,
You're weird.
I know. I was like, you do that? Really?
We're all thinking
Are
it,
you
right?
making that up on the radio?
is Music in the Park or something, and it's a series.
We're all sitting here going, really?
Yeah, come on, all these
Well,
patriotic.
I do know what you're talking about. I don't play them myself, but in Boston they have the Boston Pops
Right,
play every
right,
4th of July, and
right.
they
That's what they play.
Put that on the
Yeah, you get
on
the
TV.
Overture of 1812
Yeah,
and all the
exactly.
stuff. And so anyway, so I turn it on, and then I open the door so everybody can enjoy it. But I don't do this until 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I take Scooter out for his walk, and I can hear the music all the way as far as we walk.
What an annoying name.
Well, by that time, most everybody's left the neighborhood.
They're all down at the beach
They know.
barbecuing.
They know what's coming.
They heard it.
And then I come back in, and I'm set for the day.
Oh,
Then at
gosh.
night I'll watch the fireworks if there's something I can see from my house. Otherwise, I'll watch the Capitol 4th on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it's the music that goes with it.
Yeah.
What?
Well, fireworks on TV. I'm sorry.
What's the difference between fireworks on TV and fireworks off my deck?
Ooh,
Together. Well, they're live. I don't know. I mean,
It's live.
In this day and age, you know what? Everybody has plasma TVs. It's all high def, so maybe
Yeah.
it's different. I'm thinking of back in my
Oh.
day on the little.
back in his little apartment. where
Yeah.
there's the
When I was 5, we had like a
13-inch
13-inch. Yeah.
Hey, I think I'll go down.
black and white.
I wonder if they televise in 3D. I
Oh,
go
I
down
don't
and get
know.
a 3D TV for the day. Wouldn't that be kind of
That
cool?
would be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Although it doesn't come at
Well,
you.
we'll to Costco and watch it from
Costco's closed.
New family tradition. Go to Costco.
We're all going to Costco.
We're all going to Costco to watch the fireworks.
Now, see, this is the creative geniuses at work here, the nonprofit directors. Yeah. Oh gosh, scary thought. Anyway, so let's go back, kind of turn back to the nonprofit world for a few minutes, and
Do we have to?
see how we all got involved in this. Where did your involvement start with nonprofits?
Well, as I said, I
Yes,
started
with
at
your
a
mom?
very young age. My mom instilled it. We lost my brother to cancer when he was 15, rhabdomyosarcoma, and so my sister and I actually started the Teens Against Cancer League here on Maui, and volunteered a lot for the American Cancer Society through high school and stuff. And then as I went on to my first career, which was being a lawyer, everybody wants a lawyer on their board. So I was asked to be on a lot of boards, and I ended up. We used to produce First Night, which was the drug and alcohol-free New Year celebration with fireworks, and got really involved with that for quite a few years. But still practiced law, and then you have that life-changing moment. I went into kidney failure, went on dialysis, and received a kidney transplant. Actually, received 2. And I just really thought that, being that blessed to have received 2 kidney transplants, I really needed to give back. I
Yeah.
really felt like I needed a little bit more purpose in my life. Being a lawyer was great, and I did help some people, but I thought I would, do the nonprofit thing on a full-time basis, and it just so happens that Habitat for Humanity Maui was soliciting for their first executive director, and I knew I could, my father was a contractor, so I thought I could bring something to the table.
So for you, it was just a matter of timing that they were looking, and you were thinking of making a career change,
It was, yeah.
and you never had this burning desire to work with Habitat necessarily.
I had heard about Habitat, but no, I mean, when I did look into the organization, I realized it was a perfect fit for me. I had the legal background because we do mortgages. I had the construction background. My father was a contractor, and we were forced to work every summer with him. I helped him build our house and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it felt like it was a really good fit. And at the time, I was pretty well connected with, the mayor at the time was a very good friend of mine. So yeah, I got hired. I think I got hired because she was a friend of mine.
Okay. Very good. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Well, I mean, involvement with nonprofits goes all the way back to high school. I was a big brother with Big Brothers and Big Sisters for a few years. And then I did AmeriCorps in college in Colorado, and that was really one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences of my life. And I was working with youth, middle school, high school age youth for that year. And then after college, kind of got sucked into the corporate world until I moved out to Maui. And then got a job with mediation services with their youth program. So that was kind of how my experience kind of worked with mediation services, just the opening for their youth program. And just being involved with the organization when the executive director before me moved on, she approached me and said, maybe you should apply. So then I did, and here I am almost,
rest is history.
almost 3 years later.
I'm not familiar with their youth program. What is?
We do peer mediation. So we teach youth how to mediate conflicts within their own age group. So the youth are more likely to be honest or to take not necessarily advice, but to work with their peers more than they would an adult trying to dictate what they should do.
Right.
So we teach them how to handle conflict situations, how the mediation process works, and it's usually, those conflicts are rumors. This person was saying this about me, and so we talk about that, or boyfriend girlfriend relationship issues. Sometimes it's violent fights, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we teach them how to write agreements, and everybody
Is that ongoing?
Yeah.
Is that through the high schools then?
We have a program with Maui High, and we did a training up at Seabury, and hopefully we can expand that. I know Molokai High is looking to start a program. Some of the Camden
Cool.
Academy wants to do one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yours is kind of like hers. It's a progression.
Right.
Just seem to be moving right in that direction, right place, right time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Joylyn?
Mine was definitely a progression too from the 90s. Back in '97, I got involved with an internship program through the, UH Hilo, and I was able to come back home for the summer and work at the Humpback Whale Sanctuary in Kihei. And the sanctuary program was just starting up, but at the same time, I didn't realize, but the Au'auna Lokoi o Maui, which is the Association of Fish Ponds of Maui, is a nonprofit organization that was just getting off of its feet too. And it's basically to restore the fish pond that's right there in Kihei at Kalepolepo Park. And so it was just a natural progression that as I was working with the sanctuary for the next 6 years or so, that I was immediately involved with the restoration of the fish pond. And then that's when I learned about what a nonprofit was, and eventually went from a volunteer level to different levels of leadership, vice president and stuff for many years. And then I kind of took a little bit of a step back for maybe 2 years or so. I was volunteering still from afar, but I left the sanctuary, was working at another job, and after I got pregnant with my first child, it worked out well that I was able to get back into the nonprofit world with Au'auna Lokoi o Maui as their first executive director with the official title. I wasn't just vice president anymore or volunteer. I was actually a paid position. So from 2008 to actually now, I'm still the executive director of that nonprofit. But just recently, last year, I was very fortunate to, one nonprofit is not always enough, so might as well do a second one. So
Because I've got kids, and
I got kids, and my kids were getting ready to go into school, so it wasn't a good excuse to always just work from home and remotely and work at the ocean all the time. I miss it though, but my family just felt like it was important to also have another type of experience closer to where my children go to school. So this particular job at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens was open for a while, and I just took a deep breath and said, okay, this is where my next part of my life is going. So right now I'm a double ED actually, so between the two nonprofits, and
Wow.
I run both, one during the day and one at night.
oh my goodness.
God
Yeah.
bless you.
It's hard enough to
So if I
run
fall
one.
asleep right now, no, but it's good. It's good. It's manageable. It's something where I know one nonprofit well enough that I can do it almost with my eyes closed, and the other one
You'll
has
have
been
to.
a great learning experience in the last year and a half that I've been at the gardens.
Terrific.
Kaimana.
You forgot to mention that you were my mentor.
Oh yes, yes.
She was my mentor at the Marine Sanctuary when I was going to be a sophomore in college. And it was a Marine Sanctuary / fish pond internship for education. But I will just keep on going on the evolution train. My parents, it's their fault I'm in nonprofits. Definitely. When 1987, I'm going to totally date myself. My parents
It's okay. You're amongst a lot older crowd.
my parents had the fortitude to put me in the Hawaiian Immersion preschool, which is a nonprofit, and it was the first class, and so it was just kind of this unprecedented, never, we're going to have our kids speak this language that for all intents and purposes was dying at that point. And so at a very grassroots level, they were involved with all aspects of the school, especially the fundraising. And my mom comes from a very strong business background. So she definitely lent her expertise in that. And then my dad is just kind of a big personality and can really rally the troops. So he was naturally taking leadership roles, and that continued on in my Hawaiian Immersion. I was in that program till 8th grade, and I was out testifying at the legislature at age 8 with my dad for busing and working fundraisers and coming up with all types of ideas. I also started paddling at 8 years old for Nakaiavalu Canoe Club, and we lost one of our, there was a big fire, I don't know if you guys remember, in the 90s, and we lost our whole fleet of canoes, basically. So I remember going on the radio at probably age 9 and doing solicitations on the radio, please help us, we lost all our canoes. And so I think just always being involved in nonprofit, then my mom started working for a nonprofit. She helped with the Maui Coastal Land Trust when they were still Maui Coastal. And I went away to school, and I had no intentions of working in nonprofits. I went to school in Washington, D.C., so I wanted to work in politics, work in government. I wanted to work for the UN or in the White House or for the EPA. But during the summers, I would come home and get internships because I was kind of sick of the mainland and I needed a break. And I met a boy, so I did finish school, but I did move back to Hawaii. And I always stayed involved with paddling, and I was looking for a job, and Hawaiian Canoe Club was looking for an ED, and I naturally had been doing things for them on a volunteer basis, and they really took a chance with a 22-year-old and hired, I was barely doing my personal finances, let alone a nonprofit's finances. So it's been a learning experience on both ends, both for them having a staff member, and for me, a nonprofit, we're a nonprofit, but you better have a profit at the end of the year, right? Or else
better not have a negative.
You better not have a nonprofit, basically. So it's been a good evolution for both organizations and for me professionally.
Cool. So how long have you been doing that?
I was hired in 2008,
wow.
So almost
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Terrific. Now, the organization itself, we talked earlier, Hawaiian Kamali'i,
Yes.
does more than just paddling.
Right. Well, most people know us as Hawaiian Canoe Club, which was established in 1960. We were incorporated as Hawaiian Kamali'i in 1992 because we've had so many kids, come and paddle for us that we realized that we needed to do more for the kids than just paddle. So we started an enrichment program, which was called Hawaiian Kamali'i. And we found that calling ourselves something other than a canoe club really spoke to the depth of what we do. And it also kind of helped people take us a little bit more seriously because people see canoe club and they think, oh, you're just going to ask us for a canoe. And really, we don't ever ask anyone for a canoe. We fundraise for our canoes, but we do seek funding to help support our kids program, which now is beyond summer. It's now year-round programming. And it's heavily subsidized, so kids from all income brackets can participate and not have money be an obstacle for them. Yeah.
And at any given time, you're working with how many kids?
This summer, we have 167 kids
Wow.
down from 8 to 18. Lots of kids aged through our program from 8 to 18. We hire high school kids. This year we have 10, and most of them have grown up in the program, and we give them their first job. And and we're doing their resumes with them, and we're going over how to fill out a W-4 in a safe environment, so when they get out and get really their real first job, maybe it's not so intimidating. Maybe they have some skills under their belt. Maybe they have some confidence. So
That's terrific.
yeah.
I learned something about the Hawaiian Canoe Club.
Hawaiian Kamali'i.
Hawaiian Kamali'i.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
My involvement with nonprofits. I think, like most of you, it's the family thing. My parents were all involved in nonprofits, and a lot of their activities centered around church and school. and we had a church school. And so they were on committees for everything under the sun, and it was almost like get home from work, have lunch, or have dinner quick, and then they were off to meetings. And I was determined I wasn't going to be like that. So I went the corporate route and spent, had my own business for 25 years. But what I found is in my own business was a newspaper. And what I found was that in the newspaper, I was doing a lot of nonprofit writing. Or writing for nonprofits, let's put it that way. Actually, I guess the paper was kind of a nonprofit. No, it was for profit. Yeah. Okay.
You tell us.
Yeah. And that was one of my key pieces. It was a downtown Honolulu newspaper. And when you think about downtown Honolulu, there's really two pieces to it, and that is the corporate world that is there that makes it happen, and you've got the 50,000 people that come downtown every day to work. But those 50,000 people are all involved in their own nonprofit worlds, and they all have fundraisers, they all have events, etc. And so we covered those pretty heavily. And so it wasn't, I guess, that long of a stretch when I sold the paper and retired and was going to be on Maui full time to be grabbed by somebody at the airport before I even got. Actually, I lived here for 15 years, commuting back and forth to Oahu to work. And when I finally said, okay, that's it, I'm selling the paper, blah, 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 when the word got around, somebody grabbed me at the airport before I'd even signed the deal.
Were you at least on Maui?
Yeah, I was on Maui.
Set foot at the airport, and they said, okay, you're...
And I was getting ready to fly. It was one morning flying to Oahu, and they were on the same flight with me, and they said, okay, now as soon as you're done with that, you come see me. And that's how I started over at MEO. And I was over there for 7.5 years as CEO of their Business Development Corp. And then left there last year to retire again. I did talk him into a 7-week retirement.
7 weeks.
Between there, yeah, in between selling the paper and going to work for him. And then I retired again because I thought, okay, now it's really time. And that lasted 2 weeks.
Just couldn't get away.
I guess, but Randy, a couple weeks ago when we had Randy on, he was talking about his retirement coming up in September. He was saying that you have to plan your retirement. Here's what you're going to do. Here's where you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, all these kinds of things. And I said, that's what was missing from my retirements.
She had no plans.
I was just going to kind of see what happened.
Open to people snatching you up and giving you good offers.
What are you going to do next? I don't know. Okay, I know what you're going to do.
Gonna go back to work.
Yeah, and I thought, well, try it. Why not? Okay. And anyway, time for another break, so we'll let Paul try it now for a while.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our special 4th of July festivities here at the Maui Nonprofit Notes. We're talking with some of our board members from the Maui Nonprofit Maui Nonprofit Directors Association, which is executive directors of the various nonprofits around the island. We're talking story about how we got into the business and some of our favorite 4th of July stories and so on and so forth. And I think what I'd like to do now is maybe transition into, a lot of times we hear about executive director burnout and how it's just so tough because there's the money's drying up and we have to do so much more with so much less. But yet there are some really bright things that happen for us that make our days great, and we're so thrilled that we're where we are. Let's throw some of those stories around. Anybody want to start?
Well, we just last week or when was it? Seems everything's last week to me, and it's never last week. We had in the past recently Building and Faith Breakfast, which is where we get all our churches together who do a lot of support for Habitat for Humanity. And I had invited a couple of our partner families, people that we've built homes for. And I had expected one to speak, and the other one is actually a pastor, so he was just there as representing a church. But he asked to get up, and he just said some amazing things. He said that, so many people here on Maui, are facing, foreclosures and economic disasters and, unemployed, and they just have no faith anymore. And a lack of faith sometimes makes you turn to drugs and alcohol. And he said that's what happened to him. He had no faith, and he had turned to drugs and alcohol. And he said that when Habitat came into his life, and gave him hope because he could build a house for his family. And now not just he has hope, but his entire family has hope, and his kids and his grandkids. And he said, being part of a church is faith, hope, and love. And he goes, and that's why I have so much love for Habitat. And I was wiping away the tears. I mean, it was just so unexpected because he wasn't supposed to say anything.
Yeah.
And I know he feels this way because he's expressed it to me, privately, but to have him get up in front of a big group, and he's not that type of guy, to get up in front of a big group and say those things. It was just really rewarding and reminds me, again, why we do the things we do.
Yeah, when people speak up about their experience with your agency or just those feel-good stories that your agency was created for, to help people, that's really when I would get a genuinely good feeling about doing what I do, having our agency provide the service that we provide. Anytime that there's a successful mediation and somebody comes in and says, thank you so much for being here and helping us get through this problem, it's a really rewarding experience. We had a mediation training back in already February now, but we had such a good group of trainees, I guess, and everyone spoke at the end. We weren't really expecting it, but just those really heartfelt comments about the sincere gratitude that they have for what we do. And we had a couple of judges come in and speak at that graduation ceremony, but that's when it's a really good feeling. And those times when you're worried about money, or those nights when you're awake counting, when am I going to hear back from this funder or whatever, it makes it all worthwhile, I think, for me anyways.
Yep.
I guess at Hawaiian Canoe Club, we're very lucky that on the competitive side, we weekly see results in the canoe, being that we're very successful. It always culminates in the state championship, which is always such a fun day because there's so much pride, and people work hard and they invest, and you might have nerves before your race, and you just put it out on the water. And the nice thing about our sport is that every canoe, every race, every crew scores a point. Everyone contributes to our overall effort. So even if a crew comes in 6th, they're scoring and they're adding to literally our success to win championships. But on a bigger level, or actually on a more individual letter, every year the nonprofits, if you get county funding, have to go before the county council at the community meetings. And once in a while, you get those youth that, I give the kids kind of a script or for prompts or, different points that they should try to include. And it's always the best when the kid totally disregards that, talks from the heart, and really puts the council members on notice that they should support not just the nonprofit, but they're supporting that kid who's there, who's speaking so proudly of the things that, our nonprofit happens to do for them. But, one of the kids this past year spoke for all of the kids, whether it's Boys and Girls Club or MEO or all of the programmings, at a time when it's easy to look at nonprofits and cut and say we're inefficient or that there's no need. We're not serving, Hawaiian Canoe Club doesn't do basic social things, food, shelter, things like that. You can kind of look at it as extra, but where would these kids be without our services? Right. And he, at that meeting, this young man really drove that home to the to the county council members, and did it in such a powerful, profound way, more so than anything I could have done. And so that was a recent proud moment for me.
And it takes a lot of guts to stand up in front of the council and
Even
say
at
those
our
things.
age.
Yeah.
To have the youth do it is even more empowering.
Yeah, I think over at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens, one of the proudest moments that I've had, or great days that I've had, is just seeing the connection that people, especially Keiki, have with the gardens. Because when people think about a garden, they just think about the plants. But at our gardens, our mission is to take it another step forward, where you're connecting the Hawaiian culture with the stories that the plants have to share with everyone. And so you could have the regular visitor come through the garden, take a look, looking for these pretty flowers that we normally don't even have. But then you have those school kids that come on a morning for a 2-hour visit, and then just to watch them be mesmerized at watching like a pili grass seed just start to twirl on its own in front of their eyes like magic, and just see them trip out pretty much about it. And even the parents and the teachers are all like zooming in, and just really seeing the magnificence of these types of plants and the stories behind them. I think that's one of the many rewarding experiences that I had. But working with a nonprofit organization or two nonprofit organizations, I really think the heart of it is the aloha that we as individuals have, as the directors of it, because you have to have that aloha and give it without any type of request or type of return expected. Because if you think about it, that's what nonprofit worlds are. Is like, we're giving all this goodness away, and eventually it'll come back to us. So, and that's the same thing about aloha, is just every day going to work and spreading our aloha for the job that we do, the place that we work at, the people that we share the experiences with, and knowing eventually it'll all come full circle, yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful, Jolene.
Wow.
I know. Nice way to wrap it up.
I'm not going to say anything. I can't.
You can't follow that?
You can't follow that?
Yeah, I can.
I was going to say, you aren't never at a loss for words.
Actually, after teaching, what was it? I think the last count I had was something like 1,300 students how to start their own businesses or to make their businesses more successful in the classes that I taught over at MEO Business Development Corp. For me, the rewarding day is driving down the street and seeing the name of a business appear on a storefront or a shingle hanging out, or something, or seeing an announcement in the paper, so-and-so's announcing the opening of their store. And I'm going, wow, and these are not right after you finished working with them, because in many cases they had some issues they had to work on, and it could be 2-3 years later. Matter of fact, I'm still seeing some now, and I cannot go into a store, like a major store, like whether it's Home Depot or Long's or any of those kinds of places, without somebody saying, "Hi, Susie, are you still teaching?" And I say, "No, I'm doing something else now." And they go, "Wow, the things that were in that book and the things we learned helped me so much. I know I wouldn't be in business today if it weren't for that."
Wow.
And I think, wow, how can you beat that? But now that I'm at Lokahi Pacific and I've helped 4 families get into their own homes, that's another level.
Yeah.
Seeing that family, like I just stopped by to see one of them last week, and they've got the couch set up so that they can all huddle on this. It's a big couch, it's a family of 5, but I can just see the whole family huddled together watching a video, and in where they lived before, there wasn't a room big enough for them all to be together and do this. And the stuff, they've got their little puppy a week ago at the Humane Society, and it's like, oh wow, here's the American dream come true.
And
it's
it's not
alive
just,
and well.
and the kids will benefit too. Kids do so much
Exactly.
better with the stability of homeownership.
Exactly.
And that they'll grow up and probably be homeowners. So
Sherry, did you see Maui United Way?
The video?
had some kids from, what was the
Maui Waina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a video of some of the Maui United Way agencies, and Habitat for Humanity did a little segment, and they had an elderly gentleman.
Mr. Sved, yeah.
That like tears at your heartstrings. I mean, that must have been such a great feeling.
That was a critical repair. He was this veteran of he was a Korean War veteran, fought for our country, which is very appropriate on 4th of July. And he had to, because he couldn't, the way the house was set up, he had to go outside to bathe, and in a cold shower in Haiku. And
they showed a picture of that bathtub,
which was nasty.
Not,
I mean, it was beautiful in the, exotic, all that stuff, but not for a 80-year-old,
Right.
Veteran. And so we were able to put a shower into his bedroom, so he could shower right in his bedroom. And we fixed his ramp so that they had a big deck. He liked to go out, and he still smokes at 80. He likes to go outside and smoke his cigarettes out there. And and he was just wonder. And Lowe's helped us with that project. So all the Lowe's guys were out there with him.
So this has really been neat. I don't know about the rest of you, and I hope the audience listening at home, if you've taken a few minutes to maybe while you're eating lunch or something today and
Having your barbecue.
yeah, and getting ready for your barbecue, whatever the case, to listen to us. It's been great talking about the things that keep us going. We may have 10 down days in a row, but it just takes one little spark of something happening for one of our clients that's positive, and we're ready to just go full blast again and keep doing it. And we want to thank everybody for joining us on this special 4th of July show. Thank Pacific Source
Cabinets.
check out their
for the sponsorship of the show.
Yeah.
Hello, whatever. We do some work with them.
It's a
and
holiday,
Pack
that's
Source,
why.
what can I say?
It's a holiday,
Anyway,
that's why.
we encourage everybody to get out there and volunteer, give, advocate, get involved with your favorite nonprofit. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us. And next week we'll be back with our regular shows. KAOI Radio, 1110 AM, 96.7 FM. And from Max, Kaimana, Joylyn, Sherry, and Susie, happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
aloha.